I want to build a team that's tough. I want to build a team that's hardworking. I expect our guys to be tough. I expect them to work hard, and I expect them to compete, and I expect that because I and my staff will do the same thing every day.
Last week, the Cornhuskers ground game was rolling.
Harburg under center, gives it off to Anthony Grant, right side. He's got a first down, 40, breaks a tackle, 50. Anthony Grant racing down the far sideline to the 30, bumped out of an option to the near side. Heinrich going to keep it himself, got some room. 25-30, 35-40. Heinrich to the 45, 50, 45, bumped out of bounds around the 38-yard line of Louisiana Tech. Give it off to Anthony right side. Touchdown, Nebraska. Gets the snap, options to the far side. Gets by one tackler, 35-40. Heinrich to midfield, off to the races. 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Nebraska.
The nation's #1 rushing defense held up their end of the deal as the Black Shirts made play after play.
Turner in the pocket, step throws, ball deflected, intercepted. Picked off and sliding down is Isaac Gifford. It went off of DeColdis' hand into the air. Gifford gets an INT, his first of the year. Goes Turner, field to the deep back. They might just try to push Turner off to the left. They do, and I don't know that he gets it. Husker standing up. He did not
short,
get it.
Greg. He's short.
Huskers have stopped them on 4th down. How about that?
It was a good day to be a Husker.
So this one's in the books. Now back to conference play for the last part of the season. Fireworks going off over the north scoreboard. Teams coming to the middle of the field to shake some hands.
Now the focus turns to Big Ten play as the #2 Michigan Wolverines come to town.
Excited to get ready to play Michigan, play a Big Ten team at home. Excellent team, #2 team in the country for a reason. So great opportunity for us, experience for us. We're going to play every team we play. No one came to the University of Nebraska to not play good teams. You've never heard us complain about anything. We're not here to complain. We're not here to make excuses. We're here to play good football and win.
It's go time in Lincoln.
Touchdown, Nebraska!
This is Husker Game Day, presented by Dakota Mac. Here's your host, Ben McLaughlin.
Welcome to the Kodamak Husker Game Day Show here on the Huskers Radio Network. Big one on tap today for the Cornhuskers as the second-ranked Michigan Wolverines come to town, and the Huskers will have a chance to shock the college football world today with a monumental upset of Michigan, a team that Nebraska's quite familiar with after the last few seasons. We got a lot coming your way over the next couple of hours on the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show. Looking forward to having you all with us over the course of our 11.5-hour broadcast here on the Huskers Radio Network, and very pleased once again to be joined in the studio by my good friend, Mr. Damon Benning. DB, this has been a unique week to me, both in terms of the preparation for Michigan, but also the outside noise. You know, it didn't feel to me all week that this was the week of playing #2. I don't know how it felt for you.
Almost like an afterthought, which, excuse me, maybe it's a good omen for Nebraska. But you're right, it didn't seem like there was a ton of buzz. It was very monotone, and I don't know. Nebraska playing it obviously close to vest with their health situation and what's going on at the quarterback spot, but it just seemed to kind of peter on along this week, even though this is a top 5 program coming into Lincoln.
So I was thinking about this week, but also driving in today, and the question popped in my mind. Nebraska's coaches probably want it that way, right? I mean, we've been talking about process and day by day the entire year. I mean, it's probably a good thing that we're not all geeked up right now and just kind of sticking to the course.
Yeah, it's a business approach, and that's kind of how Coach Rule and his staff has been. I caught up with him when he was getting some laps in before the game started last week, just kind of flying under the radar, you know, double hoodie and incognito.
Isn't it funny how he does that? I noticed that in Minneapolis.
And nobody really knew.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked Brand, I said, hey, is your dad out here? And he go, oh, yeah, you know, he's the guy in the oversized sweat hood over there. And I was like, oh. But we stopped to talk for a little bit, and I was just asking him about the schedule and Big Ten play after the non-con. And he said, you know, Michigan's going to be a lot like the rest of the games on our schedule. If we play well, we'll give ourselves a chance to win. If we don't, we're going to be in dogfights. So I just was a little taken aback that was kind of his demeanor, because it didn't sound all that optimistic, but it really was. Because no opponent's going to be too big. Like, he just approaches every game the same. I was impressed just by hearing the demeanor. So maybe that's the course his team has taken too. Hey, this is another one up in the Big Ten matchup.
You, me, everybody else, particularly the first few games, are kind of dissecting everything that we're seeing, because everything was so new to us. You know, how the coaches were interacting on the sideline, to scheme, to personnel, responding to adversity, all these things that are no different for any other team in college football. I mean, you being a coach, you never really know what's going to shake out the few games. I think coaches have an idea of what they're going to see, but particularly under a microscope, those first few games for Nebraska. And I kind of feel like our conversation finishing the fifth quarter show against Louisiana Tech put a bow on kind of that investigative, I guess, feel with. I think we have a pretty good feel of what Nebraska is. But I think today kind of adds a different dimension to that in terms of barometer. Is today a fair or unfair gauge of where Nebraska is, considering the development of the program under Jim Harbaugh and the newness and freshness of the program for Nebraska?
Yeah, I think it's just part of the concrete pouring portion, right, where you're going to go in and you're going to see just how settled it is and before you evaluate the driveway, right? So I think while Michigan isn't the end-all, be-all in terms of the litmus test, you'll see kind of where you're at in terms of your development. And we've heard each side of the ball talk about where they want to be in terms of their progression. We heard Coach Satterfield talk about the evolution of the passing game and making sure that the offense continues to grow in terms of establishing its identity. And Coach White waxing poetic about how Michigan is built on offense a lot like Nebraska wants to be with their concepts run game and having to hang in there and where they'll be as a measuring stick fitting in the run game this week. So you can kind of hear the incremental building blocks that are built in. I don't think they're going to get their own pH balance and be finalized today, but it'll just be one more step in terms of what they're looking for in terms of growth.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It's not necessarily the angle that I went to first in my mind, but I think I think what you say is definitely fair. And then, I want to stick with this learning theme for a second. Now we're going to narrow the focus a little bit, and not only in terms of what we're talking about, but the length of time, and that being Nebraska's offense. And let's focus in on Coach Satterfield, because I think we had to learn, and he had to learn a little bit, not only with operating without Jeff Sims, but also how is this going to work at the running back spot? How is Anthony Grant going to hold up? Were we going to have to use other bodies? Where we heard this week, as a side note, that Josh Fleeks is continuing to take reps at running back just to fill some depth somewhere in that position. How much do you think he learned and has learned in the last 14 days about what this offense is capable of and what he wants to do with it without Jeff Sims, and knowing that you're two backs down going forward?
Yeah, I actually think he should get a lot of credit. And I know there's a lot of consternation, hand-wringing about what this offense looks like. But listen, we talked about it last week and the week before, right? He's without a lot of scholarship ammunition. Down a couple of backs. You never got a waiver completed before Gilbert's meltdown. Betts leaves the team. IGC's got the season-ending injury, and it just hasn't been what I think he signed up for. You've got Sims' injury, and so I think their ability to adjust and create some sort of a semblance of a continuity on offense has been pretty remarkable, given the fact I didn't love their depth to begin with to start the season. We knew that they were void of playmakers in its totality outside of some of the young guys that they need to evolve. So I don't know. I don't think this is how he envisioned it. So for him to be able to adjust on the fly and seemingly not skip a beat, I mean, he is as cool. He's a cool customer, right? He looks like about a 96 over 68 blood pressure guy, right? He just is very even-keeled, and that's how he talks to his team. And I think the offense, despite its lack of gaudy numbers, the development and teaching has been fairly impressive if you get below the surface.
Yeah, and it's interesting, sometimes you show up to a poker tournament and you're just not dealt any good hands, right?
Yeah,
it's just
you're playing 8-9 offsuit all day, right?
The entire time.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's been the case for him a little bit this year. It just seems like
hadn't had a ton of pain.
Yeah, it just seems like it's just been a struggle to get any kind of break or make it easier on himself.
Yeah,
and I think to me that it's really hard to bring in the schematic aspect of it too when you're not playing with a full deck, to continue that analogy, and you are continually looking at who you have and who you don't have to fit what you want to do And oh, by the way, against some pretty stout defenses, to boot, with NIU's front seven, particularly defensive line, Minnesota's, relatively stout unit. I think it's been challenging to keep the development going when it seems like right now they're just trying to keep their head above water.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I tried to give some analogies earlier this week, and I don't know what I would do in the short term and be good at it if it wasn't what I ultimately wanted to do long term. That's really what they're trying to do as an offense, right? I don't think this is who they want to be. I don't know if they think this is the long-term play, but in the moment, they've got to do just enough to get by. That wouldn't be a great feeling on your day-to-day, right? Mm-hmm. Just doing enough to get by. But what they've got to do is practice what they preach. They're their own barometer. They want to be the best version of themselves, and I think they talk it out loud. It doesn't matter what it is. We want to be the best version of what we're doing, and I think that's how they stay competitive.
Yeah, and I think, to me, when you look at offensive development and really what fans are going to see on Saturdays are how many points do you score, how many yards do we have. That's going to be their barometer, right? What they see on Saturdays. I think it's just it's a complex issue, and one thing I wanted to get your perspective on, and I've been hearing more and more of this lately, is, well, why doesn't Nebraska just do this, or why don't they just do that, or why don't they just I want to, from a coach's perspective, as a former player's perspective, the finite amount of time during the week to prepare and to develop, right? Yeah. What you've been doing day in and day out for months, not just on a week-to-week basis. Why doesn't Nebraska want a Wildcat, or why don't they run more screen passes, or why? Walk through with us the concept of adding something like that, and then manifestation of building that into a practice plan, to have to rep it enough during the week to feel comfortable calling it, to have the personnel to be able to do it, to kind of get into the weeds of what it takes to prepare a particular play, formation, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a process. It's definitely a process. And I think what Nebraska has tried to do, which further lengthens the process, is they don't want to do anything outside of their concepts, right? You have some inexperience at the quarterback spot. You had a new quarterback to start the season. You felt like you had an offense that you were installing to play a certain way. And so to have that scrapped after the first couple of weeks of the season and have to try to expound on your secondary plan is going to take some time unto itself, let alone the addition of any new nuances. Like, let's just say the screen game. And a 2-hour and 20-minute practice, you're going to work that screen game probably 20, 25 minutes, I would say, in its totality if you count pre-practice. How does that fit in with the rest of the offense? Situationally, does it work? Do we like our personnel? And, oh, by the way, while we're doing this 20, 25 minutes a day, what aren't we doing that we have been doing that we probably need to work on as well? So the concepts are cool to talk about in passing, but not always so practical real time in terms of what it looks like on a Saturday, because you have to have the stones and the confidence to be able to call those plays knowing that everybody's on the same page, and sometimes it's paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think that's kind of where I wanted to go with it is, we come up with an idea in our heads as fans, and, it's a little easier for me to do watching the Chiefs than Nebraska because, I'm a true fan of Kansas City. A little bit more different for me watching the Huskers than I am Kansas City, Pittsburgh. But, to me, that's just it's something that I think we lose sight of sometimes. Yeah. And, to further your point, what's the defense doing? Right. Is this a suitable thing that we've been practicing all week for that defense? Because sometimes that's not ready for 2 to 3 weeks down the road, and it might not be, a good thing to do against a particular defense and what they like to do.
That's funny. We, at the high school level, and it's very, very similar, there'll be packages that aren't functional from week to week depending on your opponent. They may be part of your arsenal, but it may, listen, if you're a trap or a G-scheme team and all of a sudden you're playing an odd front versus an even front, it's like, maybe we'll scrap that for this week because I don't like the looks of the fronts that they're giving us. And it goes both ways, right? You may like some certain pressure packages, or you may like a certain hey, you may be a cover 3 guy, but all you're going to see this week is 2x2s. It's not always going to be advantageous to be in 3 strong, right? So it's very opponent specific, and not only that, Ben, it takes time.
I think when you start to peel back the layer of the onion and really stick your nose in it, it becomes more evident that maybe this isn't the best thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, how do you get a young running back ready when you know your stable is already thin and there's the rest of your offense as well? Like, you probably need a couple of 2 or 3 weeks to get a guy ready for just a particular game if he's relatively inexperienced.
And, oh, by the way, how are you making your backup quarterback feel comfortable as well?
Yeah.
You know, throwing that in there too. All this to say, how multiple is Nebraska? Because there are times when you see 13 personnel, they're in pistol, they're running sprint option, they're running 2x2 sets.
Yeah.
It seems to me like they're a handful to watch on film just because of how many different looks they give you offensively.
Yeah, the formations, the shifts, the personnel groupings, it's probably a lot to prepare for. And I think that's kind of the beauty of what they want to do. They talked all offseason about a positionless offense, and sometimes you'll see Bullock as a wing, or sometimes he'll be out as an X-receiver, or sometimes you'll see Fedoni in the slot, or sometimes he'll be an inline tight end. You've seen Luke Lindemeyer as an H-back or an inline tight end. The multiplicity in terms of what they want to do, I think, is a lot of eye candy, and situationally you have to teach guys where to be. But at the end of the day, the core formation of what they want to do is it's power spread, right? And they'll get to it a variety of ways. But I truly think that's who they want to be. And you complicate things in terms of film study when you see how many different run schemes they have. Sometimes it's gap scheme, sometimes it's duo, sometimes it's big on big. Then they sprinkle in option. It's a lot. And I think the evolution of where this ground game has gotten better, because for an offensive line that has been so maligned, at least kind of in my sphere of influence, their consistency running the football means that some real development is going on.
Yeah. And the last couple of weeks, it's been almost a similar recipe in that second half takeover, reaching those fourth quarter numbers.
Yeah, very good to start games and very good coming out of the half.
Yeah.
Which lets me know that there's some tutelage and some teaching going on.
Which is absolutely necessary in games like this, against opponents like this. And that's going to be probably the thing I watch the most, is how Nebraska's still standing in late third, early fourth quarter, because it feels to me like that's exactly how Michigan wants to play. If you go back and watch their games and their chunk plays offensively, and when they can really start leaning on defenses, it's almost like that's exactly the recipe and the formula that Nebraska wants to adopt.
Absolutely. A lot of similarities between the style of attack. Very consistent. The concepts are similar. They've got really good guys upstairs that will tell you the subtle nuances, and they make you repeat being fundamentally sound. And you'll do it again, and you'll do it again, and then at some point the dam breaks, and that's when all of a sudden they'll crease you. It looked a lot the same of what they were doing earlier, but all of a sudden you get so used to what they're doing, you try to cheat the system, and then they'll find it up. He's peeking backside. How about a little quarterback keeper here? It looks a lot like this. Up. They're letting our tight end off clean. I know we showed that he was arcing getting to Mike. How about we show a little run action? They think he's getting to Mike, and all of a sudden he's running a crossing route unimpeded, right? Like, they're really good at what they do because they lull you to sleep because it looks a lot alike.
We're going to talk a little bit more about Michigan as the show progresses, but in terms of team identity, I think today you're going to have two teams that would sign on the dotted line, to a mutual agreement, if you will, on that. One more thing I want to get your opinion on before we hit our first break in this segment is I was talking to a friend who is not a Nebraska fan, lives out west, but huge college football fan, and he asked me a question that I think, on the surface it was just an off the cuff answer, but I think when I think about that question more and more, I think there's some real depth to it. And the question is, what would a win today do for Nebraska's program, right? I mean, the simple answer is, it'd be great. They'd get all this momentum. But the more I thought about it, Damon, it seems like when you think back to head coaches and their tenures and where they started, you can handpick a few games, not saying today's going to be one of those games, but 2 or 3 games that almost change the trajectory of a program, good or bad, and kind of was an indicator of how things are going to go. If Nebraska is able to win today, could today be one of those games for Matt Rule?
Oh, absolutely. Because, the way that the schedule breaks out is you feel good about your upcoming opponents, and I think the fan base was kind of conceding this one. And you were going to roll the dice and see what happens with the rest of the games this season. But this one was like, we're definitely not going to get Michigan. It's a big number, 17 or whatever it is today. And I just think a potential win today would go a long way in terms of the proof is in the pudding for this staff that if you just stay the course and take it one game at a time, anything can happen. Because I think when you start to see the outward results from the words, like real tangible examples, that's when the magic happens. Because if you're already teaching your guys to fall in love with the process, when you start to get the outcomes, they'll love the process even more.
100%. Yeah. So, I don't know, interesting question I was given this week. And, I think more times than not, when you look at things from a hindsight perspective, when things are all said and done, or Nick Saban or whoever are established, you can handpick a game and go, yep, that's when we knew he was on the map, or that's when we knew that he was about to lose the team. Not to say either of those things are going to happen today with Matt Rule, but I think generally speaking, if you find a head coach and you think back to the first 2 or 3 years of their tenure, you can handpick a few games that were indicators of how the future was going to be told. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Bridges Trust, serving families, foundations, and institutions to preserve wealth and safeguard legacies for over 75 years. Also need to thank our friends at Blue Cross and Blue Shield Nebraska, proud sponsor of Touchdowns for Teachers, to recognize outstanding educators in Nebraska. If there's a teacher that makes your community great, find a nomination form at huskers.com/teachers. Selected teachers will win a spring game VIP experience and classroom visit from Herbie Husker. Alongside Damon Benning, I'm Ben McLaughlin. Cole Hartman running the ship for us, as always, here in our studios. We are off and rolling here with our Huskers Radio Network broadcast and our Dakota Mac Husker Game Day show. We'll take our first break, and we got more coming your way after the timeout.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
There's no community like a Cenex community, and that's why every Cenex store is so proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, and stay connected. It's also why we give back, helping to make the wonderful places we call home the best they can be. Your local Cenex doesn't just work in your town, it lives there. The store next door, powered locally at Cenex.
With over 75 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They have built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing exceptional service in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. They are in the business to provide specialized, comprehensive wealth advisory services that are in the best interest of their clients to help them grow and preserve their legacies for generations to come. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
Tired of worrying about what to make for dinner? Try Gary's Quick Steak. It's delicious, convenient, and easy to make in minutes as it cooks from frozen. It also has over 20 grams of protein per serving, is gluten-free, and is made with real beef and chicken. Enjoy sandwiches, enchiladas, stir-fry, quality sirloin, chicken, and corned beef ready in minutes. Simply sizzle, flip, and savor.
I promise you, if you try it, you're absolutely going to love it.
Visit our website to find a store near you.
Allergy season is officially here. Your home should be a place where you can escape dust, pollen, and other allergens, but every time you enter your home, you bring them inside. John Henry's offers numerous products to remove allergens and germs from your home. Call
John Henry's
today to learn more about our indoor air quality products to breathe easier in your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
Discover the meticulously crafted and effortlessly iconic 2023 Cadillac lineup at Woodhouse Cadillac. Receive up to $2,000 Cadillac financial cash on the 2023 Cadillac CT4 V Series Blackwing, plus 0.9% APR for 36 months. Experience the Woodhouse Cadillac difference and visit us in store at 112th and Dodge in Omaha or online anytime at woodhousecadillac.com with approved credit. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires September 30th, 2023. See dealer for details.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm broadcasting student Ann Gallagher with Campus News. The only designated R1 research university in Nebraska, UNL's innovations power economic growth, precision ag production, tech breakthroughs, and future leaders in Nebraska. With the highest graduation rates and highest median earnings for recent grads of any public university in Nebraska, UNL is doing big things for our state.
More Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic care first. Studies show that chiropractic is safe, drug-free, and the most effective treatment option for back, neck, and joint pain. It can also help patients of all ages reduce migraines, improve mobility, and maximize athletic performance. Keep the entire family healthy and active with natural, cost-effective chiropractic care. Find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification on the Huskers Radio Network.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show here on the Huskers Radio Network. Ben McLaughlin joined by Damon Benning. And time now to name our BMO Athlete of the Week. And this week's athlete is Husker setter Bergen Riley. Boy, she outstanding. Named this week the Big Ten Setter of the Week and Freshman of the Week. Freshman from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, has led the Huskers to a .268 hitting percentage. That ranks second in the Big Ten and in the top 10 nationally. Another huge win for John Cook's Huskers last night on the road in West Lafayette, taking down 17th-ranked Purdue to improve their record to 12-0. Those ladies can play. Our BMO Athlete of the Week, proud sponsor of the Huskers Radio Network. We're committed to helping our customers make real financial progress. To learn more, visit bmo.com. All right, Damon, let's get into a little bit of what we saw last week with Louisiana Tech. And the word I keep going back to, and I think you've said it a number of times on the broadcast, and I think it's a word that we talked about in Minneapolis before the Huskers had even took the field for the first time in 2023, and that's patience. I just feel like that's something that I've got to remind myself. Fans should probably remind themselves maybe some more that this isn't the offense that Scott Frost wanted to run. This is going to take a little time to see things manifest, and thankfully in each of the last 2 weeks they did.
I tell you what, when you watch them just kind of surgically go through what they do, whether it's formationally or the repetitiveness of running the same thing over and over, that's exactly what it is. And so, like, B-Mac, let's be honest. How often have we had these conversations and we're like, well, why did Team X get away from, and then fill in the blank, right? So what you're saying from Nebraska is, I don't know why more people don't do it, but until they stop it, keep running it. And you've seen Nebraska do that a ton, where a lot of their plays look very, very similar in terms of their design, and it's all about patience. I mean, they're going to find something until it works, and then there's some cool things that they can do off of it too. So you can tell that there's a lot of concepts going on.
100%. And we talked a lot about offense in that first segment, so let's shift the gears to defense. I was really intrigued to see how Tony White and the defense was going to stand up against Sonny Cumbie in that offense, particularly because of what they do schematically, but also how are they going to look with the backup quarterback who we thought was going to use his legs perhaps more than he did, but maybe the threat of him moving changed some things with what Nebraska wanted to do. How do you feel like they stood up against a type of offense that they're likely not to see again?
Yeah, it was okay. I felt like it was a little sloppy from a tackling standpoint. That was the thing that left a little to be desired, and it got real leaky later on after that break, especially when they added the quarterback scrambling element to it. But for the most part, I was pretty pleased with the run defense, and I felt like outside of a couple of breakdowns on a few little wheel routes, and we call them switch releases, where Nebraska fell asleep with their eyes a little bit. It was pretty sound, but I'd love to see them continue to improve in the tackling department. And of course, if you're looking at something that's portable for today, man, just no leaky hidden yardage. When you make contact, get guys down to the ground. If it's supposed to be 2nd and 7, let it be 2nd and 7, not 2nd and 5 because a guy slid off a tackle to the left or to the right, and it's a more manageable down. Especially against a team that embraces contact, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're playing a team that likes to run away from it, maybe. But if you're breaking tackles against a team that is looking for contact, that's
you heard that from the secondary this week, didn't you? Omar and those guys really adamant about how physicality is the thing that they're after today, because that's what they're expecting Michigan wants to bring, and they think that they can match it.
What's the mindset of a player when you strap your pads on, knowing the dogfight that you're about to be in the trenches in a game like this?
I think they're going to be motivated, because I think if you know a team's style, it's up to you to be able to match it. And there aren't going to be very many secrets when it comes to Michigan. Now, they'll make some adjustments, but for the most part, what you see is what you get, you're going to get. And that tests your manhood a little bit. And I think the players respond well to that, because there isn't any guesswork. You just get to play fast because you know you have to be tough.
The defense today, I think, is going to be against Michigan's offense, because, and we'll talk more about Michigan's personnel a little later on when we break down our opponent preview, but they've got weapons all over, and guys that have done it on the biggest stage, and a quarterback that is all about the bright lights and has been his entire life. So how does Nebraska stand up to a crew like that? It'll be fascinating to see. Yeah. We had a little bit of behind the curtain with how it was going to work with Colorado, and we know what happened there in the second half. Just got gassed. But that to me is going to be something that we watch quite closely, is how Nebraska physically is standing up to Michigan. And then the other thing that Michigan will do and has done consistently, they've got tricks up their sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
There will be one or two plays today that you're like, whoa, okay, there's a little bit of street ball happening. They do it every year, and it seems like when they do it, they execute it.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're situationally, it's kind of what we described a little bit in the last segment, where a lot of things look the same, and then all of a sudden you fall asleep a play or two in a row, and they have a counter. And when they take their shot, they usually get you. So that's a really good point. You got to pay attention to that today. Don't be lazy with your eye discipline. Make sure you read your keys, because Michigan is very good in the booth. They'll find it.
And it's funny how they seem to call plays knowing exactly, okay.
They set you up, don't they?
Yeah, that's a hook, line, and sinker for me. Farmers Mutual Nebraska, experience the personalized difference when your insurance is kept local. Visit fmne.com to contact an agent near you. An area that I want to talk about is linebacker, and kind of get an assessment, pre-real conference about how those guys are holding up. Luke Reimer has been a topic of conversation this week, whether he may or may not play. Sounds like he's trending towards playing this week. Nick Henrich has missed time. Bullock's kind of come out of nowhere and being one of those guys that is going to be relied upon. We've seen a slow emergence of Javen Wright.
Yeah.
I know you've really liked the way Buddha's been playing lately. So what's your impression with those guys and how we could see not just the middles, but some of these outside guys with Chief Borders and MJ Sherman start to have more of an impact?
Yeah, I really like it. And they've got some versatility, right, where Butler can now get off of that jack position, and he's playing a little D-line, and they have so much versatility. G-Sharp and I, it took us a second the last couple of weeks to figure out substitutions because we couldn't figure out if something was wrong or that was what they wanted to do by choice. And that just lets you know that development and depth is a real thing. So I think for those guys on the second level, tackling will be imperative today. They're going to use a ton of bodies. It's a little warmer weather day. It's flat out hot out there right now. And so Nebraska situationally will be able to play a lot of players. Tackling at the point of attack is key for me, and it starts with that linebacking core because I think the defensive line is actually a good matchup for Michigan's O-line today.
How much football – this is going to seem like a dumb question. How much football have those backers have had to digest this year? And what I mean is playing in space, covering guys, blitzing, playing in a booth. I mean, it seems like a lot of different stuff's being thrown at them.
Yeah, it's really impressive teaching. And I think Tony White and Dvorak, those guys, the teaching of concepts, so it doesn't matter where you are in that particular defense if you understand what the desired outcome is. You can control your response, right? The old school E plus R equals O. And I think for them, that's what it's been about. They've seen a lot of different looks. It wasn't the street fight that they were expecting against Minnesota. It got a little aerial, and then, Northern Illinois wanted to play it more in a phone book, and Louisiana Tech had them spread out. Colorado had the speed. I mean, they've seen a multitude of things in these first 4 games that I think will prepare them as the season goes on.
I think another really underrated aspect to Michigan's team every single year because of what they want to do, I think it takes away a little bit from their skill guys on the outside. I think some of those guys are really, really talented, really good players, and have the capability to be playing on Sundays, and a lot of those guys will be. So I think today you can't sleep on the test from Nebraska's secondary, but I think there's going to be a lot on the plates of the safeties today, both in coverage and being able to stick your nose in and play some football.
Yeah, for sure the latter. They have got to fit in the run game because that's where Michigan will stress you. Run, then run action, boom, shot play. And that's where Nebraska's secondary is going to have some discipline. They got a lot of flexibility in terms of where the guys can line up with their body types. But I think this is going to be a theme. It will be all about their discipline and fitting in the run game.
I think, as we kind of digest what Nebraska is going to have to face today with Michigan, how important is just the first quarter, first couple drives of not letting it get to a point to where you're reaching and playing from behind against a team like Michigan?
Yeah, fantastic point. I know Coach Rule has talked a lot about not caring how you start, and man, I just get the sense if they can get off to a good start here and get the crowd involved defensively, they'll be able to be patient and hang in there. If they can play with a lead, man, it just seems like if they could get off to a good start, it would really lend itself to that fourth quarter slugfest that I think ultimately this staff wants to find Nebraska in.
Ever there was a time to tear a ball away early, I think. I think today might be the prize day to do that. USC has already scored on Colorado. For those keeping score at home, expecting a bit of a track meet in Boulder for that one as they get going with Coach Deion Sanders and the USC Trojans. My McDonald's rewards have arrived at McDonald's. Download the McDonald's app and earn points. The more you spend, the more points you get, the more you can redeem for free food at McDonald's. Again, one more thing I want to hit on here before this break. Special teams. Just want to highlight it here quickly. We don't need to spend the next 45 minutes breaking down special teams, but I have to imagine this is a very uncomfortable feeling for Coach Rule at this point in the season. I don't know that he expected to have some of the struggles in the specialty units that he's had this year.
Yeah, one of the keys to today's game definitely is anytime Nebraska's foot hits the ball, they have to win, whether it's place kicking, kickoff, and punting. 2 of those 3 have been fairly shaky. Still trying to figure out what Nebraska wants to accomplish when they kick the ball off. And certainly they've had their place-kicking woes. So if Buschini can establish some consistency, make 1 week 2, and continue to be Buschini, that will obviously help because Michigan is conservative on offense, so field position, you get the sense, will be important. But anytime Nebraska's foot hits that football, it has got to be a positive for this team.
Yeah, if you're chasing a giant like number 2 in the country is, you better not be making mistakes in areas that are you can ill afford to do so, which, of course, special teams is. A lot of people walking around today. They're
it's like I feel like we're at the zoo.
Yeah, I mean,
just peeking
there's
in.
tents everywhere. There's a lot of movement around the stadium today, as you'd expect with the second-ranked team in the country coming to your house, that there would be some movement. And there's also some movement starting to happen around the stadium with the traffic, with the cars. Got to be watching out for those cars, Damon.
Yeah.
You got to have your head on a swivel, as
you're
we know.
You're not kidding.
Seatbelt use saves lives and prevents injuries. Nearly 15,000 lives saved per year. Buckle up. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Let's check the traffic with Trooper Dave.
Good morning, and thanks, Ben and Damon. Traffic is pretty heavy already on the outskirts of Lincoln as fans got those breakfast buffets fired up early this morning. Eastbound 80 into Lincoln, seeing fairly heavy traffic from Goner on into the 395, where you pick up the third lane. Don't be afraid to take West O or Rosa Parks Way into the south side of the stadium to avoid the madness of I-180. Highway 77 looks good from Beatrice up to Highway 2. Highway 92 through Belmar is seeing normal game day traffic. Highway 34 from Seward looks good up to I-80. Stay to the left as you approach 180 as that right lane is closed over I-80. If you're still up in West Omaha, you can take West Center Road all the way to Wahoo and take 77 south to avoid most of the I-80 traffic. Highway 6 out of Gretna is getting busy down to the mall, but still moving. We are controlling the light there to move more cars through. I-80 westbound out of Omaha is the normal slowdowns as you approach the 27th and I-180 exits. And I-180 into downtown is very busy all the way from 80, but still moving. Fans, harvest season is upon us. Be extra vigilant about your driving habits with all the extra farm machinery on the road. Your car will not win that collision. This has been Trooper Dave with the Nebraska State Patrol Traffic Report on the Huskers Radio Network.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
It's being well supported by a provider who understands your health interests and goals. It's ensuring you are well connected to a team of caregivers and specialists. It's feeling well cared for by having someone you can turn to who sees you for you. That's the power of being well matched. And that's exactly what CHI Health Clinic's My Provider Match does. Meet the provider who is right for you at myprovidermatch.com.
Farmers Mutual of Nebraska offers quality auto, farm, and home insurance that's based right here in Husker Nation. Enhance your insurance experience by keeping it local. When it comes time to file a claim, having a nearby service team and a prompt claims process makes all the difference. Visit fmne.com to contact an agent for a free, no-obligation quote. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
It's Ram Power Days at Woodhouse Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Now with 2 Omaha Metro locations to better serve you. Take advantage of $7,500 off MSRP on a 2023 Ram 2500 or new Ram 3500, bringing you more power, capability, and savings. Visit us in Bellevue or Blair. This is Woodhouse. With approved credit, tax title license extra, $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires 9/30/2023. See dealer for details.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers, you ready for some SUV action? Toyota SUVs can roll their sleeves up for tight turns and twisty trails, dress up for a night out on the town, or head to the great outdoors. Take your family adventure game to a whole new level with the roomy Highlander. Make a serious splash with the rugged, revved-up RAV4. And tow all your toys in the spacious new Sequoia. Don't forget the trail-taming 4Runner and the sleek Venza Hybrid. All Toyota SUVs feature a whole suite of creature comforts to keep you and yours cozy in the cabin. Check out this legendary lineup at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
With over 75 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They have built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing exceptional service in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. They are in the business to provide specialized, comprehensive wealth advisory services that are in the best interest of their clients to help them grow and preserve their legacies for generations to come. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
Tired of worrying about what to make for dinner? Try Gary's Quick Steak. It's delicious, convenient, and easy to make in minutes as it cooks from frozen. It also has over 20 grams of protein per serving, is gluten-free, and is made with real beef and chicken. Enjoy sandwiches, enchiladas, stir-fry, quality sirloin, chicken, and corned beef ready in minutes. Simply sizzle, flip, and savor.
I promise you, if you try it, you're absolutely going to love it.
Visit our website to find a store near you.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back into Husker Game Day. I'm Jessica Cootie. It's time for our Cornhusker conversation. This week, I got a chance to sit down with offensive lineman Ben Scott. The Huskers starting center transferred from Arizona State and fit seamlessly into the culture of a group of guys that have played a lot of football together. Growing up in Hawaii, he has that connection to his position coach, Donovan Raiola, who he loves playing for. Here's my conversation with Ben Scott. Hey, well, you're 4 games into this. How have you liked being a Cornhusker?
It's been amazing, just going out there every week with all my teammates and going out there and competing. It's been really nice.
How do you feel like the offensive line has progressed? It seems like you guys are starting to kind of find a little bit of a rhythm here this last couple weeks.
Yeah, I think every game, we go in and we have our game plan, and that chemistry is only getting better and better. And each week we just find like little tips and tricks just to make ourselves even better every week.
How much is that a process for an offensive line? I mean, I know that there's a lot of guys that have played a lot of football, but playing together for the first time, this unit, how much does that take just a little bit of time to build that chemistry?
Yeah, I think we all had a lot of teammates playing next to each other in the past couple of years. So, just building that chemistry, like even in practice, going against different looks and different schemes, that really builds our chemistry every week. And going against a different team this week, we're going to have to make it even better.
What's the process been like for you? I know you felt like center was your probably best spot, right, to take over that center spot for this offensive line. How has that process been for you?
Oh, it's been great, watching a lot of film, studying my plays, and just every day just getting better on my technique. It's been really great to have the guys around me helping me get better too.
How have you gone about, too, just with the Jeff starting and then getting hurt and then Heinrich stepping in? I mean, what's your role in that and making those guys feel comfortable and whoever's out there?
Yeah, I don't think it's too much of a difference for us. We're going to block it the same way no matter who's back there. We just go in that huddle and whoever's out there, we're taking their commands and going out there and playing.
And then for you guys to be continuing to, 6th in the nation in rushing yards, that's got to make an O-line pretty happy, right? When you guys are racking up last week, you had over 300 rushing yards. That's a pretty big feat for an offensive line, right?
Yeah. Running the ball is going to be our identity. And I think that how many yards we have rushing really shows on the O-line and how much we work every day just to get that going.
What can you say about Anthony Grant, the way he stepped up last week?
Oh, he's a fighter. And he'll run the ball 110% every single play, and that's exactly why you want him back there. He's going to run through everyone. He'll juke them out. He'll do anything just to get that open space.
So, playing center, what is it about that position that you really like that spot on the O-line?
It's good just to, you got to be, smart, and you have to see things before it happens. And I think that's what what I really look for, like on film and at practice. I really try to study that. And I think just like leading the guys in communication-wise and that, just being up there front and center, you can't beat it.
When did you realize, and how did you come to the realization that that was probably going to be the best spot for you?
I played center growing up a lot, and then I think it was like high school I got moved to tackle. And then, but I always loved being in the middle and being at center, so, you know, going back to it was a dream come true for me.
What was it like running out here in the stadium for the first time and experiencing that night game, that first game?
It was different, you know. The fans packed it out just like how I thought they would, and they were louder than I expected. But it, you know, it was so amazing, especially having my family out there in the stands. It was great.
Coach Raiola, what's it been like? I know you knew him before, but being able to work with him and him coaching you, how has that been for you?
Oh, it's been great. He's seen a lot of football, and he knows how to coach offensive line very well. The great thing that I like is he pushes us every day. You know, our individual drill is not the easiest thing, but, you know, we go out there every day, treat it the same, just trying to get better every day.
You're from Hawaii, he's from Hawaii. How much did that play a role in you wanting to play for him?
Oh, it's a big role. You know, just having that connection with your coach is big. And, yeah, just going out there every day and then having that chip on your shoulder being from the islands, you know.
Why is that chip on your shoulder?
Not too many guys make it out and go to play Division I college football, you know. So, you know, the guys that go out there and they're like, this guy's from Hawaii, like, come on. And, you know, we just have that chip on our shoulder because not a lot of people respect football players from Hawaii, but, like, you go back and you look at the history books, and the guys from Hawaii are the ones that are really doing it.
What is it about that? I mean, and especially offensive linemen. I feel like there's been a lot of successful offensive linemen that have come from Hawaii. Why do you think that is?
It's a different mentality out there. And, you know, like, especially growing up, I was always getting dogged on by the older guys. And, like, you just got to work your way up, you know, because they're going to keep doing it until, like, you do something back. So that's kind of like the mentality back home is that you just got to fight every day and make yourself who you are.
You know, talked to several athletes that have come from Hawaii, and it's a family feel, right? It's like everybody's related, and it's just a kind of a different mindset, a different culture when you grow up there on the islands. How much has that helped too, having that kind of relationship that Coach Raiola understands that too, I'm sure?
Yeah, he treats all the O-linemen like family. You know, we're always going out to eat together and just hanging out when we're not in the building, you know. But that switch turns on when we're in the building, that switch turns on. It's football mode. But, like, outside of football, like, we're all just brothers just hanging out.
I mean, everybody that talks about you guys talks about that how close you are, you travel in packs, and, you know, how much does that help what you do on a football field? And you're laughing when I'm saying that, but because it's true, right, I guess?
Yeah, we always round up 15 minutes early to everything, and we're always traveling in packs, you know, because on the field we're all 5 guys makes our unit, and that's like unheard of for every other position. So we have to have that chemistry and that bond to play with each other like that.
And why is it so important to do everything together off the field? How does that play a role in everything, and especially with Coach Raiola and that importance of that brotherhood and that togetherness all the time?
Yeah, you know, it's just trusting each other and building that connection with each other, because on the field, if you don't have that trust in one another, then you can't trust them to make their block or make that read or all that stuff. So we're always traveling in packs. We're always talking football, you know, because you can't stop talking about football every day. So that's how it is.
What was your recruiting process like growing up in Hawaii?
It wasn't too good because I think, like how I said, that Hawaii football is kind of looked down upon in a way. So, you know, not a lot of people were looking to give out scholarships to guys from Hawaii. So I wasn't too highly recruited, but I knew that I just needed a shot.
So what was it, why football then in Hawaii? Why did you decide that, okay, maybe I could do something with a football career?
Yeah, I mean, football was my life. I mean, I played it since I was 5 years old, and I knew that was the way to get into college, and that was just like another step in order to make it to the NFL.
So what was it that finally got you over that hump where you did start getting noticed by colleges?
I think they were coming to see a lot of other guys besides me. And then I think, like, just me working as hard as I was and how diligent I was preparing for every practice really caught their eye and just made them look another way at me instead of someone else.
So you haven't played in any cold weather games yet. How are you approaching that, knowing you are going to play in some cold weather games and being from Hawaii? How are you going to manage that?
Yeah, I don't think the cold really bothers me that much. I mean, I haven't played in a snow game, but I played in some games that are like 30 degrees-ish. So we'll see how it goes.
You hoping for a snow game?
I do want a snow game. I think it'll be really fun.
So when you go to Arizona State and then you decide to transfer, so take me through that process. And again, it's like a whole other recruiting process, right? How you landed on Nebraska.
Yeah, I think as soon as I entered the portal, I think Coach Raiola was like one of the first ones to hit my phone up. So as soon as I saw that that trust in me, and I knew that like he's seen a lot of football, and he knows who a good center is and who isn't. So I think that really made that choice stick in my brain.
And then again, going back to that Hawaii connection, is it just something when you say, "Hey, I'm from Hawaii," there's just that instant connection with someone like that?
Oh, most definitely. You know, things are a lot different out there than the mainland, as we like to call it. So it's like that immediate connection.
How different was it for you adjusting from going from the island to college on the mainland?
Yeah, it was a lot different. Back home in Hawaii, we always leave our shoes outside of our house. Like you don't wear shoes inside the house. And I remember like my first week on campus, I was leaving my shoes outside of my dorm room. And I think I was made fun of a lot. And just like the way I talk, people used to make fun of me a lot. Just a little like teasing me and stuff.
Do you still do that with your shoes?
No, not anymore.
you changed that?
Yeah, I changed that.
How much does that feel you, though? Again, that just how you grew up and wanting to represent. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are now looking at you when you talk about, hey, looking on a roster and seeing Hawaii by your name. Does that inspire you to want to inspire some kids growing up looking at you?
Yeah, most definitely. Coach always says, like, when you're out there playing, your last name's on your back, and you got where you're from on your back as well, you know? So, like, you're really playing for Hawaii, you're playing for your last name, and everyone that has helped you along the way, and I think that really sticks to me.
I love that. Well, let's circle back to this week, Michigan. How excited are you for a challenge like that? I mean, everyone's talking about Michigan, the defensive line, but as a competitor, how excited do you get to play in a game like this?
Oh, it's super exciting. Everyone's saying that we got nothing to lose and all this stuff, but I think that we're treating it like another game, preparing every day, and I just can't wait to go out there and show them that we're not just going to roll over.
What have you seen on film that you're kind of, when you're preparing for Michigan, what are some of the things that you guys have to do to be able to have success against them?
You know, we got to see all the blitzes, all the scheme stuff that they're running. Really got to move guys off the ball because we have to establish that run in the run game. So I think it'll be good for us to move the ball on them and just establish our offense.
You know, being that the last couple of weeks, you guys have found the win column, and it seems like, you know, that you've been able to put some things together offensively. How excited are you guys to get back out there and continue to build off of what you've done so far?
Yeah, I think our offense is getting better and better game by game. So, you know, we're just like, I think we found our identity. We just got to keep building on it every week, and I think this is the week where we really show everyone what our offense is capable of.
When you have a defense doing what they're doing, how much confidence does that give you guys as an offense?
Oh, it gives us a lot of confidence, you know, with great field position that they give us and the turnovers that they get, you know, it gives us a lot of confidence to go out there and do our thing.
How much confidence, too, does it give you to just the complementary football, too, that just both sides? It seems like you guys have really, the last couple of weeks, been feeding off of each other.
Yeah, they bring a lot of energy. You know, if the offense isn't doing that good, the defense will come out with the same energy every single time. And if they get a turnover in good field position, like, they'll be all amped up, and it really shows us, like, we're really playing for each other out here. And we got to, like, do good for the defense, which really helps us out.
So you have a great perspective. There's been a lot of talk about the polar bear, Nash Hopmaker. What's it like for you going up against him every day in practice?
Oh, it's great. I think we make each other a lot better every single day, you know, doing different blocks against each other. And, like, we're just working on our strengths and weaknesses against each other, which is great, you know. There's not a lot of D tackles that you're going to find like that.
Love it. All right, well, biggest key, I guess, for you guys to find some success on Saturday against the Michigan Wolverines?
Run the ball.
I love it. I love it. Fans love to hear that, too. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much to Ben Scott for sitting down with us this week. The Cornhusker Conversation is brought to you by Teammates Mentoring Program. Be there for a student in your local school by going to teammates.org. We've got to step aside for a break here on Husker Game Day, but much more to come as we get you set for kickoff with Michigan.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska exists to be there with you. They are rooting for the schools and teachers who make our communities great. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is proud to sponsor Touchdowns for Teachers and ask Husker fans to nominate outstanding educators who help Nebraska students reach their potential. If there's a teacher you want to recognize for the impact they've made in your community, find a nomination form at huskers.com/touchdownsforteachers.
There's no community like a Cenex community. And that's why every Cenex store is so proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, and stay connected. It's also why we give back, helping to make the wonderful places we call home the best they can be. Your local Cenex doesn't just work in your town, it lives there. The store next door, powered locally at Cenex.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
Woodhouse Chevy is making car buying better with 2 convenient locations in Missouri Valley, Iowa, and our newest location in Omaha at 112th and Dodge. With a huge selection of new cars, trucks, and SUVs, experience the entire Chevy lineup and explore our savings going on now. Visit us in store or online anytime to shop our current offers and all our inventory. Find new roads with Woodhouse Chevy in Missouri Valley and now in Omaha.
This is the sound of a Husker game day. This is the sound of the opposing quarterback getting sacked on game day. This is the sound of someone enjoying a Big Mac. And this is the sound of that same someone getting another Big Mac for free.
All right!
Because the Monday after the Huskers get a sack, Big Mac is buy one, get one free at McDonald's. To review, this is what happens on game day. This is what happens on Monday. This fan is really happy.
All right!
And this is what the lawyers made us say. A la carte only. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
It's time for another round of Nebraska Farm Facts. If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens. Farmers and ranchers raise livestock and poultry to provide nutritious, affordable protein for all ages to help build muscle and maintain energy for a healthy lifestyle. Keep that in mind as you prepare all that tasty meat on your tailgate grill. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
That's what it sounds like when a farmer opens a bag of Pioneer brand A-Series soybeans. But not just any farmer. The type who expects nothing less than the absolute best. Who sees our 3 bushel per acre edge over XtendFlex and gets excited about how big of a yield advantage they'll have at harvest. Pioneer brand A-Series soybeans. #1 for a reason. Visit pioneer.com/advantage.
Farmers Mutual of Nebraska offers quality auto, farm, and home insurance that's based right here in Husker Nation. Enhance your insurance experience by keeping it local. When it comes time to file a claim, having a nearby service team and a prompt claims process makes all the difference. Visit fmne.com to contact an agent for a free, no-obligation quote. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
You'll be seeing us around soon, and when you do, I bet you'll call us BMO. Don't worry, it's more common than you think, but we actually pronounce it BMO. As in, with BMO, you can earn a cash reward every month you save. Or, did you know BMO's been helping customers for over 200 years? So when you do see us, pop in and say hi. Not to BMO, to BMO. And yes, bank is still pronounced bank. Learn more about us at BMO.com. BMO. Conditions apply. Accounts are subject to approval and are provided in the United States by BMO Bank N.A. member FDIC.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show here on the Huskers Radio Network. Ben McLaughlin, happy to be welcomed in by the voice of the TV broadcast tonight, Jason Benetti. You've had kind of a roller coaster the last few months, always an interesting transition for a guy who does baseball, and then obviously transitioning over to football. How do you manage to keep them separate?
Yeah, you know, it's a funny question. I was dumb enough to go to law school early in my tenure doing games, and I was doing games at High Point University in North Carolina. I went to law school at the same time, and I always vowed to like not let one be an excuse for the other. And so it's like, when I'm doing football, I'm doing football. When I'm doing baseball, I'm doing baseball. Now, the exception is when, like, Michigan coaches want to do an 11 o'clock conference call, and I have a 1 o'clock White Sox game. So I have to sneak into a little room and whatever. But, again, like, there are a million people doing way tougher jobs than me. I'm not, like, digging ditches or anything like that. So I try to remember that, too. But it's great fun. Like, I get to – the coolest part of the job is I get to meet people who are great leaders in a lot of different walks of life. So I do baseball. I get to talk to Buck Showalter for Fox and Rob Thompson a couple weeks ago on a Thursday. And then the next day I'm on a plane talking to Kyle Whittingham and the Utah people. So I get to use it for each other, kind of like by analogy.
You've got to see some good football already. I guess of the games that you've done, who has kind of got on your radar that you're kind of paying attention to week in and week out based on what you saw?
So we did UCLA-Utah last week, and Utah is just tough as heck, man. They were down 4 defensive starters, and they just couldn't be denied defensively. And it was like, man, they gave up 7 points to a very good UCLA offense, I think, in the end. But the big takeaway for me from this season so far is we had Texas's opener the week before they played Alabama. And the whole question was like, can Quinn Ewers throw a deep ball? Well, Crimson Tide figured that out pretty quickly. Texas is very deep on the defensive line. They're a pretty scary team. We also had Iowa State, and I thought Iowa was better defensively than they showed in that Penn State game. We all know here that there are questions about Iowa's offense. Like, very famously, there's a threshold they have to hit. I think they're better than what they showed last week, but I don't know how much better. The Big Ten, I wonder what the Big Ten West again looks like this year.
Yeah, I think all of us are kind of digesting every week trying to answer that same question that you are. Well, you've been in Nebraska for a little while now, and obviously one more sleep before the game gets you going. But what's been your impression of what's been happening in Lincoln since you were here for basketball a few years ago with the new facility, the new coach, a lot of new happening around here, and you're kind of learning that as you soak in what Nebraska is all about these days?
Yeah, I have not had the fortune of getting to do a game for football here, and so I've watched it as a kid growing up in Chicago, like Big Ten, Big 8 country, right? So I've seen a lot of it, but I have not gotten a chance to do it. So I'm pumped about that. We just spent 20 minutes with Nuri Nuili, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to be an analyst one day. The guy can talk about any subject for an in-depth amount of and length of time. I was floored by him and his personality. We spent some time with Heinrich as well, and I love the idea that there's a Nebraska kid who's tough as heck, like doesn't throw it a ton. I want to know, like, you're interviewing me, but I do want to know from all of you, like, I'm watching Tommy Frazier, Eric Crouch stuff before we come over here today, and I kind of get the vibe that people like that, right? That there's a little bit of that going on.
100%. You'll see it tomorrow the first time if he's out there lowering the shoulder pads instead of running out of bounds, embracing the contact. And you saw him physically just, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to tackle him.
No, and he can run a little bit. Like, he had the one called back last week, and I'm sure he's not happy about that. But then he had another breakaway run. I was watching an Eric Crouch game before we came over here, and it was Nebraska-Miami from, I don't remember what year, but Crouch goes down the sideline, and he drops a shoulder into Ed Reed. And I was like, man, that's fun to watch for Big Ten country, right? And I just think if Nebraska is going to win this game, stay involved, it's kind of the whole want-to toughness factor.
That 01 Miami team was full of aliens, by the way. It's the amount of draft picks, first-round draft picks on that team set records for a long time. But let's talk a little bit about the matchup. Michigan is really tough. This is an opponent Nebraska is actually relatively familiar with, playing them recently pretty much every year. Obviously, last year, it was close, and then Michigan pulled away late. A couple of years ago, Nebraska was a fumble away from potentially knocking off the upset. But this Michigan team, I think, they've been kind of primed the last few years. It seems like under Coach Harbaugh being back now on the sidelines, seems like they're ready to take the next step.
It feels like it. I just don't know how many possessions are going to be in this game either, because both teams it looks like they're going to want to run the ball. But talking to your coaches today, J.J. McCarthy is the key to the whole thing. And the thing that scares me for Nebraska in this game is that he's starting to run it more. Like, you watch the Rutgers tape, and it looks different than the first 3 weeks, the ECU and Bowling Greens and all that. So J.J. McCarthy is a really talented play-action passer specifically, and that's kind of one thing we're going to be watching today. Are there big shots to take early? Will Michigan think about doing that sort of thing? But, yeah, I feel like they have gotten to that level where they feel like they're going to beat Ohio State on a yearly basis, and they've done it the last couple of seasons, so that's scary. But environment-wise, that can change a game.
Yeah, I think that's the hope for Nebraska, at least to buy a little bit more time as the game unfolds, and who knows what may happen at the end. I want to talk to you about Michigan's physicality, because you mentioned the game against Ohio State. Recent trends just show, they're just taking it straight to Ohio State. That brand of play, we've seen it fall just short in the playoff, but seems like something that's they're starting to be known for is the way they move the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. What's been your impression of kind of the focal point in that area, dissecting yourself in Michigan this week?
Yeah, it's partially the patience of Blake Corum, right? Like, he is so good at finding the second hole. He had one play against Rutgers where he sidestepped a guy in the backfield, hurdled the next body, and then got down the sideline, and you're like, man, he fixes a lot of stuff for them too. Is he totally healthy compared to before the injury? I don't know what percentage, but he still can run, and he's a really good back. So to me, it's the offensive line, and they have been able to plug and play, and winning that Joe Moore Award a couple years in a row, they've been able to plug and play, keeping 2 guys from last year, and then a couple of transfers from Stanford, but there is an identity to the whole team. And in college football, once you have a version of an identity, it kind of redoubles every year, and then you don't really have to establish it anymore. They're at that point to me where it's like, all right, if you're not good enough to hit this standard, we don't want you.
I completely agree with that. Okay, we'll let you go on this one. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I feel like you're a good person to ask. You're around sports all year round, all different types of sports. College football seems to have this pageantry. We're obsessed with rivalries and bowl games and traditions and things like that. But with these growing conferences, NIL, the transfer portal, the expanding playoff, what's your impression of where college football is going these days, and to those people that love the history of the sport? How much adapt or die are we going to have to just embrace with where we're at in the sport?
We're all kind of enduring as fans, I feel like. But what is interesting to me that's come up in the last week that makes me excited about college football and rivalries is that Dan Lanning and Deion Sanders do not like each other. It's very clear. And Ryan Day and Lou Holtz don't like each other very much. And I do think, yes, I want everybody to get along in life. I don't like war. If we're going big picture here, I'd rather have a stable everything. But in football terms, if we're going to create new rivalries, and I know Oregon's going right and Colorado's going left, so that's not going to endure. But I do think if coaches continue to be salty, petty, whatever word you want to grant to it, right, or motivational, whatever word it is, I think that kind of stuff can create new rivalries. I also think, I was talking about this with Brian Barnhart from Illinois on his radio show, I do think there's a little bit of UCLA, USC, Washington, Oregon are going to show up in the Midwest, and I'm from the Midwest, the Midwest, great. I do think there's going to be a little don't let those California boys beat us here in Lincoln. And I do think that's going to create some version of a rivalry that might be tribalistic or regional, but could endure. I kind of like the idea that might help save the stuff we're losing.
That's a great point. I guess I never really thought of it that way. But yeah, you're right. We're just kind of waiting and seeing what happens because it's out of all of our control. Jason, welcome back to Lincoln. I hope your experience here in Lincoln is a great one. Really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us. Have a great call, and we look forward to seeing you at the stadium. Thank you so much.
I look forward to telling you how I feel about this experience after Saturday, because I'm pumped to see it all happen.
We're pumped to have you. So welcome to Lincoln. There's Jason Benetti, has the call on TV today with Nebraska and Michigan. We'll step aside for another break. We've got plenty more game day after the timeout.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
There's no community like a Cenex community. And that's why every Cenex store is so proud to serve theirs by supporting local athletic teams, promoting the arts, and making sure each store is a place its neighbors can find what they need, catch up with their friends, and stay connected. It's also why we give back, helping to make the wonderful places we call home the best they can be. Your local Cenex doesn't just work in your town, it lives there. The store next door, powered locally at Cenex.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
With over 75 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They have built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing exceptional service in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. They are in the business to provide specialized, comprehensive wealth advisory services that are in the best interest of their clients to help them grow and preserve their legacies for generations to come. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
This is Big Red Football.
Discover your next Ford with Woodhouse. The truck you've always wanted to the SUV you need, Woodhouse has the full lineup. Plus a huge selection guarantees you'll get the features that matter and at a smart price. Like our current offer on a new Ford F-150. Or needing the versatility of an SUV to take on the everyday. Shop our offers going on now. Find your Ford with Woodhouse online or at one of our 3 convenient locations.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm sports media student Connor Clark with Campus News. More than $145 million in gross revenue has been generated by startup companies founded by alumni of UNL's Angler Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Program since the program began in 2010. With over 230 Angler Program alumni growing businesses across Nebraska, the Angler Program is making a big impact on the lives of students, alumni, and Nebraskans.
More Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic care first. Studies show that chiropractic is safe, drug-free, and the most effective treatment option for back, neck, and joint pain. It can also help patients of all ages reduce migraines, improve mobility, and maximize athletic performance. Keep the entire family healthy and active with natural, cost-effective chiropractic care. Find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This is the sound of a Husker game day. This is the sound of the opposing quarterback getting sacked on game day. This is the sound of someone enjoying a Big Mac. And this is the sound of that same someone getting another Big Mac for free.
All right!
Because the Monday after the Huskers get a sack, Big Mac is buy one, get one free at McDonald's. To review, this is what happens on game day. This is what happens on Monday. This fan is really happy.
All right!
And this is what the lawyers made us say. A la carte only. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Out here, we raise stronger people, stronger crops, and we proudly raise our flag to that. Let the weather, pests, and pressures try to beat us down. We only keep growing up. With the next-gen genetics, the pure acre-for-acre know-how of these soils, and a deep pride of our roots, we are born to raise at Hogemeyer. Learn more at therightseed.com.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
The Michigan Wolverines are led by head coach Jim Harbaugh. He played for the Maize and Blue as a quarterback in college from 1982 to 1986. Harbaugh took over the head coach position at the university in 2015, replacing Brady Hoke. Since taking over the Wolverines program, Harbaugh has led Michigan to some successful finishes, including 2 back-to-back Big Ten championships in the last 2 years. He's got the Wolverines off to a 4-0 start this season as Michigan comes into Lincoln for a big game this afternoon. J.J. McCarthy returned as the starting quarterback this year for Michigan. The former 4-star quarterback prospect out of IMG Academy is off to a solid start through the first 4 games of the 2023 season. McCarthy has thrown 8 touchdowns with a completion percentage of nearly 80%. He's dangerous for opposing defenses and can make you pay with some aggressive but accurate throws down the field.
Minute 46 to go in the half. Michigan at the Rutgers 18-yard line. Play clock's at 5. JJ better hurry. 3 seconds to go. Claps his hands, has the snap. Back to pass. He's going to fire it towards Samaj Morgan in the end zone. It goes up and gets a touchdown. Samaj Morgan, a contested catch in the end zone. There's a flag down.
Yep, defensive pass interference. We'll decline that, and we'll celebrate that touchdown. Great job by Samaj Morgan.
The Illinois native has spent 3 years in the program and really broke out last season when he finished with over 2,700 passing yards, good for 8th most in a single season by a Michigan quarterback in program history. The junior quarterback is also a solid runner who has accumulated over 500 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground in his career so far. The Blackshirts will need to work hard to limit what McCarthy can bring as a dual-threat quarterback for the Wolverines.
Single setback, JJ under center from the 50. They're going to go flea flicker with Blake. JJ back to pass. He's going to fire it deep. He's got a man out there. Cornelius Johnson underthrown. Tip.
Oh, wow.
Cornelius Johnson comes up with the 50-yard touchdown. What a juggling act. And the Wolverines extend the lead to 30-6.
Michigan also returned one of the top running backs in the country in Blake Corum for the 2023 season. The 5'8" senior running back finished 3rd in the Big Ten in rushing yards last season with over 1,400 yards on the ground. He also finished with 18 rushing touchdowns to help lead Michigan to a top ranking in scoring in the conference over the course of the 2022 season. Corum has gotten going again through the first 4 games of 2023, finding the end zone again and again.
Under center is JJ, hands it off to Blake Corum up the middle. Blake Corum to the end zone. Touchdown Wolverines.
Corum has had success in the past against Nebraska. In last year's matchup, he went off for over 160 yards and a touchdown on 28 carries. He is a bell cow back for the Maize and Blue and is one of the toughest runners to stop once the Wolverines get into the red zone.
Shotgun pistol formation. Ball on the left hash. JJ takes the snap. Hands it off. Corum up the middle. Behind the offensive line. The blocking sled leads him into the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan. And there go the lights at the big house as the Wolverines lead it 6-0. Just inside 11 minutes to go, first quarter.
Corum finished with 2 touchdowns against Bowling Green 2 weeks ago and continued to dominate against Rutgers last week with 2 more scores. He has found the end zone in every game this season, and we'll see if the Big Ten leading rush defense of the Huskers will be enough to handle Corum this afternoon.
1st and goal from the 5. JJ Handoff, Blake Corum up the middle, puts his shoulder down, driving towards the end zone. Blake Corum, touchdown Wolverines. And Michigan now leads it 30-7.
Michigan's biggest receiving threat this year has been Roman Wilson. He's responsible for 6 of the 8 touchdowns through the air this season for the Wolverines, including this one versus Bowling Green a couple weeks ago.
1st and 10 Michigan from the 33-yard line of Bowling Green. Pistol formation. JJ play action fake to Corum, back to pass. Gonna go over the middle. He's got Roman Wilson inside the 5, into the end zone. Touchdown Wolverines. Roman Wilson's 6th touchdown reception of the season for 33 yards, and the Wolverines lead it 13-6.
The senior receiver from Hawaii has nearly 300 yards through the first 4 games of the season for Michigan and will be trouble for this Nebraska secondary. He is on pace to break his career record for single-season receiving yards, which was set back in 2021 when he recorded 420 yards through the air. This Michigan team knows how to feed their primary receiver, so players like Malcolm Hartzog and Deshaun Singleton will need to identify where Roman Wilson is at all times.
Ball's on the right hash, 5 wide for Michigan. 2 to the right, 3 to the left. JJ in a shotgun, claps his hands, back to pass. Downfield, Roman Wilson inside the 5, skips into the end zone for a Michigan touchdown. Roman Wilson from 13 yards, and the Wolverines have extended the lead to 20-0. JJ in a shotgun now, 2nd down and 5, back to pass. Stepping up in the pocket, looking downfield, delivers to Roman Wilson, to the 30, down the near sideline, 20, 10, 5, Roman Wilson, touchdown Michigan. JJ McCarthy to Roman Wilson for the 5th time this year, and the Wolverines lead it 27-0, 47 yards.
The Michigan defense has been very effective so far in 2023. They have given up just 23 points in 4 games, good for a nation-leading average of less than 6 points allowed per contest. So far this season in the Big Ten, they're ranked 3rd best against the pass and 2nd best against the run coming into today's matchup in Lincoln. They can also force big turnovers like this one last week against Rutgers.
Winsat in a shotgun on 4th and 2. Takes the snap, back to pass, sets up a wide receiver screen, and it's blown up out there. Will Johnson comes forward, the ball gets tipped in the air and pulled out by Mike Sainristil. Mikey Sainristil going the other direction. 30, 20, 10, Mikey Sainristil, touchdown. How did that ball end up in his hands?
Head coach Jim Harbaugh spoke to the Michigan football media this week and mentioned how much Sainristil means as a leader for this program.
For him to stay up and then get into making the moves he did and then take it back to the crib, as the young people like to say. It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. His leadership, it's constant. He just affects everybody he comes in contact with in a positive way. I'm sure you see the same thing that we do. Loved by the players, loved by the coaches, and it's great to see him. He's already a Michigan legend, right?
This afternoon's matchup is just the 13th all-time meeting between Nebraska and Michigan. The Wolverines lead the all-time head-to-head matchups with a record of 7-4-1 against the Huskers. Michigan has won the last 3 games in the series, including a very close one in 2021 by a final score of 32-29. The last time Nebraska beat Michigan is back in 2013. Matt Rule has got this Huskers team going with 2 straight victories in his first 2 games from Memorial Stadium as the head coach of Nebraska. Now, the next challenge is seeing if he can lead his team to a win over the number 2 ranked team in America this afternoon. Today's win would be just the 4th time beating an AP ranked team and his first win over an AP top 10 ranked team in his coaching career. Reporting for the Huskers Radio Network, I'm Jake Schrantz.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate that great look and great work at today's opponent. The Michigan Wolverines come in ranked number 2 in the country. The 1890 initiative helping Husker athletes navigate name, image, and likeness. To learn more or donate, visit 1890nebraska.com. Also need to thank today's broadcast sponsor, Bridges Trust, helping clients invest in your family's future with multi-generational wealth planning. Trust for generations. Traffic picking up in and around Memorial Stadium, the capital city. We need to check our traffic. Before we do, need to remind you that hands on the wheel, head in the game. The driver has one job: to drive this message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Let's check the roads with Trooper Dave.
Hey, thanks again, Ben. Traffic is definitely in full swing now. I-80 westbound out of Omaha is a slowdown as you approach the 432 ramps. Watch that right lane as traffic is entering I-80. From there, you're 3 wide down to Waverly. Plan on that right lane being backed up from the 407 down to the 401. Highway 6 out of Gretna is backed up in that right lane. We are controlling the lights to move more bodies through there. 6 down through Ashland is moving pretty well. Highway 77 south from Wahoo has normal speeds down to the big road. Eastbound 80 is moving fairly well from Milford on in. Plan on some brake lights until you get up to the 3 lanes. And I-180 southbound is extremely busy. You are stop and go from Superior Street south into downtown. It is moving just very slow. Stay with it. We still have plenty of time before kickoff. Fans, before you leave your driveway today, put on your seatbelt. Don't let it be the last thing you ever forget to do. Take the time to buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. This has been Trooper Dave of the Nebraska State Patrol Traffic Report on the Huskers Radio Network.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
I'm Tom Osborne, former football coach and founder of the Teammates Mentoring Program. I'm recruiting for the team, and I want it to be the finest team in America. I'm looking for someone like you to be a teammate's mentor, someone who is willing to reach out to a child and make a difference. Meeting with a student once a week at school can make an impact in their life and in the community. We want you to join our team. Go to teammates.org to apply today.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
Experience the difference at Woodhouse Buick GMC and take advantage of our current offers going on now. Save up to $4,000 off MSRP on the 2023 Buick Enclave or 2023 GMC Sierra 1500. Shop our current inventory in our comfortable climate-controlled showroom or online anytime at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. We are professional grade. With approved credit, must have 2009 or newer traded and qualified. $299 signing offer expires 10/02/2023. See dealer for details.
At Nebraska, our people will always be our greatest asset. Day-by-day donors give our teams the best opportunity to compete and win through their generous donations. Our vision for the future is ambitious and requires help from those who want to see Husker athletics excel at the highest level. Go big and join thousands of other Huskers Athletic Fund members with your gift today at huskers.com/donate.
Tired of worrying about what to make for dinner? Try Gary's Quick Steak. It's delicious, convenient, and easy to make in minutes as it cooks from frozen. It also has over 20 grams of protein per serving, is gluten-free, and is made with real beef and chicken. Enjoy sandwiches, enchiladas, stir-fry, quality sirloin, chicken, and corned beef ready in minutes. Simply sizzle, flip, and savor.
I promise you, if you try it, you're absolutely going to love it.
Visit our website to find a store near you.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
With over 75 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They have built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing exceptional service in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. They are in the business to provide specialized, comprehensive wealth advisory services that are in the best interest of their clients to help them grow and preserve their legacies for generations to come. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
It's being well supported.
by a provider who understands your health interests and goals. It's ensuring you are well connected to a team of caregivers and specialists. It's feeling well cared for by having someone you can turn to who sees you for you. That's the power of being well matched. And that's exactly what CHI Health Clinic's My Provider Match does. Meet the provider who is right for you at myprovidermatch.com.
Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification on the Huskers Radio Network.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
A furious rally and a chaotic finish makes Nebraska's trip to the 2005 Alamo Bowl one to remember. Hi, I'm Nate Rohr, and this is Good Times, presented by the 1890 Initiative. Before they were conference foes, the Huskers rarely faced Michigan, despite both teams being national powers. After playing 3 times before 1920, they didn't meet again until 1962, when Bob Devaney's first team upset the Wolverines in Ann Arbor. Michigan got even in the next meeting, the 1986 Fiesta Bowl. So anticipation was high for the Alamo Bowl on December the 28th, 2005, as Nebraska took the field against 20th-ranked Michigan. Neither team scored on its first drive, and NU took back possession at its own 27. After Corey Ross ran for 8 yards, Zach Taylor completed passes to Nate Swift and Ross for a combined 13 yards to the Nebraska 48. On 2nd and 6, Taylor and the Huskers took to the air again. Terrence Nunn did the rest.
2nd and 6, Michigan should get called for an offside, but a big hit up the middle, Terrence Nunn, touchdown, Nebraska!
Nebraska led 7-0 midway through the first quarter, but the Wolverines scored back-to-back touchdowns to take the lead. The Huskers answered with a 14-yard touchdown pass from Taylor to Swift to tie the game at 14 late in the second quarter. A 20-yard field goal by Jordan Congdon put Nebraska ahead 17-14 midway through the third quarter. Then Michigan scored 14 straight points to grab a 28-17 lead with 11:40 to go in regulation. A 31-yard touchdown run by Corey Ross midway through the third quarter cut the deficit to 28-24. On Michigan's next snap, Corey McEwen forced a fumble and recovered, but Nebraska went 3 and out. The Wolverines' next drive ended with Blake Tietke forcing a fumble, which Ola Daganduro returned to the Michigan 17. A penalty and a lost yardage run started the drive poorly, but then Taylor found Texas native J.B. Phillips for 10 yards to the Wolverines' 13. On the next snap, Taylor went to another Texas native.
6 for the first down, 13 for the goal-line touchdown. Ross, the star of the night, comes in motion. The other star, Taylor, sets and throws. Touchdown! Terrence Nunn! Nebraska leads.
The Huskers led 32-28 with 4:32 to go in regulation. Michigan drove to the Nebraska 18 on the next drive, but was denied. The Huskers went 3 and out on the next drive, but chewed up nearly 2.5 minutes, giving the Wolverines the ball with 7 seconds to go. After an incomplete pass, Michigan had one more chance from its own 36. With some chaos, they nearly took advantage.
64 yards in one play, 2 seconds left. Here's the end of the game as Henne throws. They'll try to set up the hook and ladder. It's in the hands of Preston, who will throw it back to Mike Hart, who looks for Avant, who's got it at midfield, who throws it all the way across the field to Manningham. Play still alive as Manningham sets up Avant to try to flip it back to, looking for a Music City miracle. They're back beyond the original line of scrimmage as it comes across. One of the offensive linemen catches it. It's still a fumble. The game is not over yet. The game is not over yet. Nebraska players are on the field. The play hasn't been whistled dead yet. Hang on a second here. This play is still alive as Ecker goes down the field for Michigan, and he's finally brought down at the 15-yard line. The game is over. Nebraska wins. There should be a flag on the field for Nebraska players coming on.
The Huskers hung on to win 32-28, pushing their record to 8-4. Ross rushed for 161 yards and a touchdown, while Nunn had 4 catches, including 2 touchdowns for 91 yards. Good Times is brought to you by the 1890 Initiative. Do you want to support Husker student athletes through name, image, and likeness? If so, visit 1890nebraska.com. I'm Nate Rohr, and this has been Good Times, presented by the 1890 Initiative.
Welcome back into Husker Game Day. I'm Jessica Cootie, and joined by a very special guest, one of our great partners from Bridges Trust, Ted Bridges, the CEO and co-chairman of Bridges Trust. Ted, thanks so much for being here with us.
It's great to be here, Jessica.
Well, you guys have a great reputation in our community. What is the power behind Bridges Trust and the services that you guys offer?
The power behind the company, behind Bridges Trust, is really the people. We're a people business. People are our assets. We are fortunate to have just an incredibly talented group of people that just have really great culture, a culture that really fits kind of a Midwestern ethos. And those people do a phenomenal job developing solutions that serve the needs of our clients.
Well, we like to talk about history and tradition around here when we talk about Husker football, and you guys are similar in that regard in that you've been in business for nearly 80 years. What makes Bridges Trust different from other wealth management firms in Nebraska, and how can families benefit from your services?
I think a couple of things sort of separate us from the pack. I think one is a build-to-suit ethos. I think the firm prides itself on not really selling products, but what we do is really create solutions for our clients that are really built to suit the specific needs of each of the families that we serve. And I think, families really can benefit from what we have to offer, because I think the firm is large enough to have, a lot of institutional gravitas and capabilities. We manage, $9 billion of client assets for, 600 families across 40 states. And I think that size gives us a lot of capabilities, but yet we feel like we're small enough to be very accessible to our clients and provide just an exceptional level of service.
Yeah, when you talk about serving families, you guys have been doing that for over 3 generations. How has the wealth management industry evolved over the years, and how has Bridges Trust adapted to these changes while maintaining those core values that you've been talking about?
So I think the industry, capital markets are constantly changing. They're continuously evolving. And I think, one of the attributes of the firm is to be proactive in how we think about kind of developing solutions to serve our clients. But we also view that ongoing sort of development within the context of some core values, some foundational aspects, which would include, just really emphasizing owning, quality businesses, quality investments, investments that we believe are well positioned to grow for the long run, and really taking a long-term time horizon with respect to the allocation of client capital. So I think it's really striking a balance between, looking forward and continuously evolving and trying to stay ahead of change, but yet being respectful and mindful of kind of the core principles and design elements that have made us successful for so long.
Well, how can Nebraska families ensure that they are setting their future generations up for success in the wealth building process?
I think it really is as simple as just finding a partner, finding a firm that you can trust, that you feel has the ability to listen to what you really need to get accomplished, and finding an organization or a firm that has the capabilities to deliver the results that you need. And I think what Bridges Trust has tried to do is invest significantly in our ability to work across multiple generations of the clients that we serve. We currently have many relationships where we serve 3 or 4 generations concurrently, but that takes an investment in our capabilities, and we've been willing to do that over time.
Well, we talk about the tradition of Husker football and its rich legacy full of it. What role does tradition play in Bridges Trust work?
I would answer it this way. I think as we allocate client capital and as we look to, generate the results in portfolios that our clients need, we are very mindful of historic relationships and sort of in a sense, a tradition of capital markets and sort of understanding that, kind of risks and opportunities tend to not change as much as people think. And so, being mindful of market history, being mindful of valuation relationships is really important. But again, it's a balance because conditions are always changing. And so what we really try to do is apply investment process that's been successful for many, many generations and do it within the context of an ever-changing capital markets landscape.
Ted Bridges, the CEO and co-chairman of Bridges Trust, thank you so much for your time, and thank you to Bridges Trust for your continued support of Husker Athletics.
We love our partnership with Husker Athletics, and go Big Red.
Love it, love it. Thanks again to Ted Bridges. We got to step aside here on Husker Game Day. Keep it right here. We've got much more headed your way.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network.
Caring for the land is one of the most important, fulfilling things a person can do. If you're looking to add more land to your ag operation or refinance existing debt, Dakota Mac can help. For 30 years now, they've been providing long-term, fixed-rate loans for ag real estate. To make things easy, Dakota Mac has an experienced specialist in your area.
Hi, it's Nick Reno from Dakota Mac. Please call me at 308-380-7564 to learn all about our competitive rates on ag real estate loans.
This is the sound of a Husker game day. This is the sound of the opposing quarterback getting sacked on game day. This is the sound of someone enjoying a Big Mac. And this is the sound of that same someone getting another Big Mac for free.
All right!
Because the Monday after the Huskers get a sack, Big Mac is buy one, get one free at McDonald's. To review, this is what happens on game day. This is what happens on Monday. This fan is really happy.
All right!
And this is what the lawyers made us say. A la carte only. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
With over 75 years of wealth management experience, Bridges Trust understands the value of tradition and legacy. They have built their reputation by helping clients achieve their objectives by providing exceptional service in investment management, trust and estate planning, philanthropic consulting, and family office services. They are in the business to provide specialized, comprehensive wealth advisory services that are in the best interest of their clients to help them grow and preserve their legacies for generations to come. Bridges Trust. Trust for generations.
It's being well supported by a provider who understands your health interests and goals. It's ensuring you are well connected to a team of caregivers and specialists. It's feeling well cared for by having someone you can turn to who sees you for you. That's the power of being well matched. And that's exactly what CHI Health Clinic's My Provider Match does. Meet the provider who is right for you at myprovidermatch.com.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
Discover the entire lineup of luxurious sedans and SUVs at Genesis of Southwest Omaha, like the award-winning 2024 Genesis GV80. Save now and get $1,500 off MSRP on all in-stock Genesis GV80 inventory. With over 20 to choose from, you can feel confident on the journey ahead in this cutting-edge SUV. With approved credit, tax, title, and license extra, $299 doc fee due at signing. Stock number GG240019, 2.5T all-wheel drive. MSRP $59,305. Offer expires 9/30/2023. See dealer for details.
Get ready again for some Nebraska farm facts. When there's work to be done, Nebraska soybeans are on the job in many of your everyday products. In fact, Nebraska soybeans are hard at work in Goodyear tires, Ford cars and trucks, Skechers shoes, asphalt, fuels, lubricants, name brand paints and stains, and more. Soybeans are an innovative replacement for petroleum, leading to more sustainable products all over the world. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
Did you know that Lincoln's water is 4 times more hard than what is recommended? This will shorten the life of your water heater, harm pipes through mineral buildup, and is bad for your hair, skin, and clothes. What's the solution? A water softener. Go online to jhlincoln.com to learn more about water softeners and our flexible financing offers, or call
John Henry's
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers, you ready for some SUV action?
Toyota SUVs can roll their sleeves up for tight turns and twisty trails, dress up for a night out on the town, or head to the great outdoors. Take your family adventure game to a whole new level with the roomy Highlander. Make a serious splash with the rugged, revved-up RAV4. And tow all your toys in the spacious new Sequoia. Don't forget the Trail-Tamin 4Runner and the sleek Venza Hybrid. All Toyota SUVs feature a whole suite of creature comforts to keep you and yours cozy in the cabin. Check out this legendary lineup at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska exists to be there with you. They are rooting for the schools and teachers who make our communities great. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Nebraska is proud to sponsor Touchdowns for Teachers and ask Husker fans to nominate outstanding educators who help Nebraska students reach their potential. If there's a teacher you want to recognize for the impact they've made in your community, find a nomination form at huskers.com/touchdownsforteachers.
You're listening to Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac on the Huskers Radio Network. This week's game changer is Thomas Fedoni.
Ticking away here, 3rd and goal at the 4. We're inside the last 20 seconds of the contest. Heinrich in the shotgun, gets the snap, looks left, throws, pass is caught. That is a touchdown, Nebraska. Finds Fedoni. Thomas Fedoni for his first career score, and the Huskers get a late touchdown. There's 1 second left on the game clock, but Fedoni and Harburg into the Husker record books, scoring their first touchdowns.
A 6'6", 250-pound tight end.
Go through what he went through when he first got here with the injuries, and then just to get back out there and get to play in games. He's finally getting to play in games. He's finally getting the ball coming to him. He's finally getting to make plays. Shows the athlete that he is. So I think he's every game, every play, every rep, he's just going to continue to improve.
From Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Irvin off to the left of Heinrich, who's in the gun. 2 to the near side. Snap back. Play action. Back to throw. Wide open down the middle field. Pass. Caught. Touchdown. Thomas Fedoni for the second straight week has found the end zone.
Today's game changer, Thomas Fedoni. 3 consecutive weeks for a touchdown for the tight end. Really nice to see him contributing at this level, Damon. I know there's been so much excitement and anticipation to see him finally healthy. And, man, he's been here a while now, but to see him work through the injury, all the injuries, to find his way back on the field has been nothing short of amazing. And then to find the end zone to boot last three times out.
Yeah, it's one touchdown for each year that he's taken off.
Yeah.
So it's good to see Thomas get it back going.
No doubt. So Thomas Fedoni, game changer. Hopefully he can keep it rolling today against Michigan. Cornerstone Bank, committed to providing you game-changing solutions for your financial needs. Bank on a solid foundation. Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. We'll give you our SOS weather impact, things that could impact the game today. Hydration. I mean, it's going to be hot out there today, and this is a process that started early yesterday. I mean, if you're starting to hydrate now, you're too late.
Absolutely. It's about 36 hours, that and sleep. Those are the 2 keys with hydration. If you're right. If you're thinking about this morning and loading up on water, SOS, man. You're out of luck.
It's going to be a long day for the trainers working the cramps out. Yeah. No question about it. And if you're coming to the game today, you need to be prepared. It is going to be a hot one out there, folks. So hats, sunscreen, all the necessities today watching this one. So there's your SOS weather impact, brought to you by SOS Heating and Cooling, with fair prices, honest opinions, and longer warranties. They are Omaha area's trustworthy company since 1950. All right, let's get into some of the keys of the day, Damon, what Nebraska has to do well to win. I think one of the bigger ones that we talked about, special teams, is something that I think everyone's going to have their eye on. But to me, it's weathering the kind of the first quarter plus, I think it might be 1A and B for me.
Yeah. I mean, the start may be a little more critical this time out than normal, especially if you're looking for something to feel good about and get this crowd into the game early. A quick start would never hurt, B-Mac.
What do you got on mind? What's something Nebraska has to do well?
So one thing to look for early is you can't have any leaky hidden yardage, right? If guys are tackled and you don't want them falling forward, slipping through for an extra 2.5 yards per, right? You want to leave guys, leave it where it lies, right? That's the old Happy Gilmore line. Wherever you tackle them, make them snap it from there again. Don't have that little leaky hidden yardage that goes from a 3-yard gain to a 5.5-yard gain because you can't get guys corralled.
I think we should also probably highlight eye discipline today because we talked about it earlier, but there's going to be a play or two that if you're not where you need to be execution-wise, they're going to pop a big one on you.
Yep, they'll lull you to sleep, right? A lot of things look the same, and you get a little play action, or all of a sudden it's a keeper on a backside counter when you're used to them handing it off, and they'll catch you peeking in the backfield, and all of a sudden they'll get you. So I'm right there with you. Although there's a lot of repetition with how Michigan wants to get after you, Nebraska's got to be sound every time out.
Haven't really talked a ton today about some pressure on the O-line shoulders to move the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a challenge against the front seven of the Wolverines. What type of chat is Donovan Raiola having with his crew before this one?
Get a hat on a hat. You want to be sure where your steps are and be aggressive. If all else fails, come off the football. Our coaches like to say solve problems with aggression, and I think that's a testament to what Nebraska wants to do today on the offensive line. You know, Michigan will be healthy in the secondary. They get 2 of their thoroughbreds back, and they've already been sound against the run. So if you're Nebraska, you want to come off with a little ferocity and make sure you get a helmet on a helmet.
Yeah, we'll have our eyes on that. There's no question about it. Keys to today's performance brought to you by Prairie Valley Seeds. Grow without limits. Also need to thank one final time our game day sponsor, Bridges Trust, serving families, foundations, and institutions to preserve wealth and safeguard legacies for over 75 years. It's going to wrap us up on the Dakota Mac Husker Game Day Show. Appreciate you, my friend. Let's go get one done today.
Yeah, let's go try to steal one. Get in the dub column and let's get it going.
House money is always good money. Let's go see what the Huskers can do with it against the second-ranked Michigan Wolverines. Countdown to kickoff coming up next. The voice of the Huskers, Greg Sharp, has you for the next hour, all gearing towards a 2:30 kickoff between Nebraska and Michigan. And for the Huskers, trying to get above 500 for the first time in the Matt Rule era, and it'll have to be at the hands of Michigan and a shocker in the college football world. My thanks to Cole Hartman for steering the ship on this one, and all of our guests that joined us. Countdown to kickoff coming up next. Huskers and Wolverines headed to a 2:30 kick.
This is Husker Game Day, brought to you by Dakota Mac. You're listening to Big Red Football.
Tired of worrying about what to make for dinner? Try Gary's Quick Steak. It's delicious, convenient, and easy to make in minutes as it cooks